This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole Auburn experience. Whether we are talking about the final days in a march to game day, whether we're talking about school that has been in session for a few weeks now, whether we're talking about something related to the orange and blue out there, anything and everything at its core, at its heart. It's all about its sports, its culture, and of course, the Auburn family. Because this show is all about the Auburn family, you got to have a family member here with us to discuss this type of stuff. So alongside myself, your host, Kyle Loomis, back in chair number 2, Austin Scott. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, War Eagle Kyle. Kyle, episode 49. We are almost to game day, my friend. The dog days of summer where we thought we wouldn't have a lot to talk about, we managed through, and we are almost back in Jordan-Hare Stadium for 2023. I can hardly believe it. I am absolutely pumped that we are in the prep week, as you said.
Yes, prep week has arrived, or as most people would say, hate week. Now,
yeah, there you go.
I don't have a lot of reason to hate UMass, but I'll find some reasons because it's hate week or prep week, however you want to scratch it out. I think there's not so much hate that's built right now. It is just we are happy to be talking about a game day that is getting so close. So if you haven't been able to tell, the first show, the first one effectively of the season, we're going to be talking a lot of football tonight. We do our best to give you as much of a well-rounded experience as we can. But my gosh, there's so much to talk about with football. But I got to ask you, 49, do you have a dedication for this show?
40, as you said, Kyle, we try and cover everything. And so there is Cole Lipscomb, the former Auburn baseball pitcher who wore number 49, did very well for the Tigers. But it's football game week. And so how can you not think about hard-hitting linebacker Darrell Williams of just a few short years ago from Hoover, Alabama, an absolute unit that would line up in the backfield back there and just come up and smack you right in the mouth. So Darrell Williams, that's how I feel. I'm that pumped up for game day. I feel like I could be an inside linebacker and go hit someone right now. We're not going to test that theory because you wouldn't have a co-host next week. But I feel like I have enough energy to believe that I could go hit somebody right now.
I feel you on that one. The energy has been building up all summer, and we got to do something. Give me a wall to run through. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, he would definitely do that. If I'm not mistaken, if I can really reach back into my memory, you may not remember this, I don't know, but Michael Goggins, I think, was number 49 too. I'm probably wrong.
That sounds right.
Is it not? I mean, to me, that's somewhere in the well of useless Auburn information that I have, smashed inside this very receding hairline of a noggin that's going to get even more. So
your quick research says you're correct. So I'm very impressed by you.
Look at this. It's almost like I've been doing a podcast for 9 years that I've required me to, get all this useless information. Anyway, so, all right, some good representatives for this show. Let's talk about Auburn Potpourri. We're going to try to hit a bunch of small topics before we get to the big ones this evening. So what I have on the list for you, Austin, since we're going to be talking a lot about football, let's cover some of the other sports real quick. Volleyball. Hot start, 3-0 with a weekend tourney in town. So good to have them back. Getting off to a great start, and there's much more of this to come this season, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Way to go, Coach Crouch. We are definitely thrilled. I could see the momentum from last year within the fan base excited about volleyball. We talked about getting on this team and getting behind this young team. Over the course of the weekend, you could see people excited to see that this team's come back out. A new floor that our buddy Clint Richardson covered plenty well. Looks really good. So you can see different aspects of excitement for this volleyball program. And they started off the year very hot, like you said.
Yep. And obviously, we're not playing the stiffest competition right now. That's coming. The same thing in all sports. You tend to play a mixture of maybe teams you should beat and maybe a few challenging non-conference opponents, but still getting off on the right foot at home is the way that you want to start it off. Also for soccer as well, they had a great week. They do already have a tie. That was last week. I think we already mentioned that previously. But 2 wins over decent opponents. In fact, today was one that they had to come back from and win. Both of these are on the road. First one, ACC opponent Syracuse did a good job getting the win up there and just finished off another team in New York. Army today got down, by a score and then eventually won it 3-2. Coach Karen Hoppa in her 25th year. Great start in non-conference thus far.
No, absolutely. And, not expecting anything less from a team led by her. And it looks like it's going to be a good start to the year for them. So exciting start for both programs. And I think there's a lot to be excited about that'll carry on the momentum for both of them.
Of course. And we're not done talking about either of those programs.
Absolutely.
We'll be mentioning them throughout the season as our episodes come along. So if you are a soccer fan, if you are a volleyball fan, if you're not, this is the Auburn Experience Show, and we're going to be talking a lot about all those different things. Since we're all about a full experience here, let's take it to some of the pros right now, because if you are a football fan, you know that the NFL has been in its preseason, that a lot of that's been going on, and it's starting to wind down here. And kind of in the final weeks, you start to see a lot of the players that, let me just be frank, probably won't play a lot or trying to earn spots on teams. And they're getting some opportunities to showcase a lot of things. Some of those are Auburn players. Seth Williams, Shed Jackson have had some pretty big catches so far. And there's a few others that we might want to mention here, but I mean, it's great, isn't it, Austin, to see these guys that we have most recently, seen out there in the orange and blue getting some opportunities, and maybe we'll see them on some NFL rosters this season.
No, absolutely. And I think with a big week of cuts coming up for a lot of teams before their own prep weeks start for the season in a couple weeks, these, like you said, these last few snaps and games of the preseason might not matter, as you might get a lot of playing time, but you might have a chance to showcase yourself and get on another team should you be cut. So really good outings, as you mentioned, by Seth Williams and Shed Jackson. We cannot be dismayed in not mentioning the Carlson brothers, who are taking the NFL kicking world by storm. Anders Carlson living up to the family name by having a couple big boots up in Green Bay. And then Daniel Carlson with a 62-yard field goal in preseason. That probably was good from 70, Kyle. I think the Carlson brothers are going to be, I think you can put them in the Manning name of kickers for the NFL at this point.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to argue it at this point because it seems to be heading that direction. Anders seems to be the heir apparent to Mason Crosby up there in Green Bay. And, listen, we all know that Anders, when you compare his time versus Daniels here at Auburn, it was a little bit, maybe less successful. Some of that's not even under his control, and some injuries things too. But how nice is it to see this guy go on the big stage, the big dance in a way, and show out like this? Yeah, it's preseason, but these are not easy kicks to make. Trust me, I can tell you, I was a kicker. And to see him do that, to see his brother Daniel continue to be just so dominant and continue to show the Minnesota Vikings people how much, and granted, I think a lot of the Minnesota Vikings people have atoned for that and admitted that was such a stupid decision to let go Daniel Carlson. But either way, it's working out. And there's other big names out there. Tank's having a pretty good time to start off with. I think it's a matter of time before he plays. Anthony Schwartz, though, in a kind of a sad note, got released today. And
I know.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I was surprised. He's been not, a key player for the Browns over his time in the NFL last couple of years, but has been in the rotation, has scored, has made some plays. I don't think he'll stay, unemployed for long. I think he'll get a shot somewhere and be able to make a contribution to a team. But I was really surprised by that.
It's kind of felt like this was the time they were going to make a decision like that if he hadn't become more prominent on that roster. And doesn't mean I think he should have been cut. But here's what I'd love Anthony to do is go to one of these, if he doesn't find a place on an NFL roster, go to one of these spring leagues and just show out with that speed he has. And then finally there's some proof of concept at least semi-pro level in those ways, in those spring league games, for someone to say, okay, he's been on an NFL roster. He's doing this at the basically pro level. Let's put him back on this roster and see what happens. So we're rooting for Anthony. he's definitely a special wide receiver that came out of Auburn. We're really excited for him and what he's done so far and what he may continue to do at the pro level. Final notes. I told you we had a lot to throw in here. Recruiting. It's not over, folks. As our good friend Trevon Reed would say, we ain't done yet. we still are, just even getting started with 2025 recruiting. Your second commit, a brother of current Auburn football Tiger. The Falk brothers are here. Jacaleb Falk, a 2025 defensive lineman commit, or edge, however you would like to lay that out there. He has committed to the Auburn Tigers. Big week for Auburn.
No, big week, absolutely, and really cool to see Keldrick Falk be able to come for his brother's announcement. And turns out that they're going to be suiting up together here in a couple of years. So really exciting. Love to see it. It was a sweet moment. Love to see that family connection now becoming a big part of the Auburn family. And then another 2024, one coming sooner or later. Dimitri Nicholas, right?
Yep, Dimitri Nicholas. So 2 defensive linemen, 2 different classes, though. Somebody that I think a lot of Auburn fans were waiting for to commit. And, a lot of these guys like to make their decisions with their teams during their season. So that's why you're seeing a lot of those kind of come now. And this was one of those dividends of Big Cat Weekend that I continue to tell people, if you're upset that your player didn't commit at Big Cat Weekend, don't worry, because it's all about laying that foundation, planting that seed, watching it grow. And then before you know it, you've got commitments to the Auburn Tigers. So big week for 2025, the 2024 class. And I don't think we're slowing down anytime soon in the recruiting cycle for at least when Hugh Freeze is there.
Absolutely.
It slowed down when old boy was here from Boise State, but we've definitely returned to form there. A lot of topics that we just covered there in potpourri. It's time to get into the big topics tonight. We're going to discuss, obviously, a little bit of preview and predictions of the season, and then get into all the new enhancements coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium and game day for Auburn fans. It is finally arrived, Mr. Austin Scott. We can officially talk about game week. Now, it's a Sunday evening. We're recording this. Technically, I think most people would say Monday is when it officially starts. I'm sure there's a debate about that. Who cares? It's here. We've waited long enough. We are talking about the season. The struggle for you and me in this segment, though, is going to be combining all that probably could take about an hour to discuss somewhere in a 10 to 15 minute segment. Because let's be honest, we're not going to be done in 10 minutes here. And I've already wasted about 1 minute of your time. Austin's going to give mostly his thoughts here. I will be sharing mine on some other venues at E2C Network, and I'll be chiming in as I can here. But I want to give Austin the stage here. So we're going to walk through the season as quickly as we can here. Let's start here with week 1, Austin. Talk to me about UMass and how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, so just before we get into the whole schedule, I have set up these games into ones I think are locks.
Nice.
Bad, good or bad. Some I think are toss-up, but how my gut feels. So,
okay.
UMass, I feel pretty good, Kyle. I feel pretty good about
I think you're safe.
I'm safe with UMass. They had our game already. They looked pretty good, but they're coming in Jordan-Hare Stadium for the first game of the Hugh Freeze era. I feel good about a win against UMass. Starting 1-0.
There you go. I love it. I'm not going to argue too much there. Too much. I might argue for a minute. You see what I did there? I think it went right over his head for a second there. It came right back.
It did.
All right. Game number 2. Let's not spend any time on that. We go out to Cal. Lots of, dynamics there. First time out there, first time playing Cal, checking that off the list. How are you feeling about the first away game?
If you're a college football fan, you love Pac-12 After Dark. It doesn't matter if this is the last year of the Pac-12 or what. You love Pac-12 After Dark. Auburn is in Pac-12 After Dark. Things are going to get crazy. I'm not expecting it to be a super clean game, but I do really feel good about Auburn going out there and winning. Cal's been struggling over the last few years. I think Auburn will be ready. I feel good and feel pretty confident about 2-0.
Can I just say to the Auburn fans out there, get some sleep the day before.
Please.
You're going to need it because especially if you're in the Eastern time zone, I likely will be in the Central time zone for this, I believe, but still that's just one less hour. We're going to be up late. Be ready for it. I also feel fairly confident about that one, although I do think it will be a lot tougher than most fans are anticipating. The next one, you have a lot of ties to this school, Samford. I know this is going to hurt you a little bit, Austin, to talk about this. You are an Auburn person at your core, but tell me about the Samford game.
The Samford game, I feel good about Samford. It is homecoming, Kyle. You're going to cry about a video. Auburn's going to play well.
Don't even listen. You know enough about my personal life right now too that I'm sitting on the edge of emotions right now in good ways. And don't you even start bringing up a homecoming video right now. That is not fair.
It's going to be waterworks for Kyle, but it's going to be touchdowns on the field. Auburn's going to go 3-0, and then SEC play hits. But I feel good. The first 3 games, I feel good about Auburn starting 3-0.
I hate you so much right now for bringing it up. I may or may not have downloaded the homecoming video last year and have it on my desktop and watch it constantly. May not. I may have asked Jessica to come up into the office and watch it with me one time to see if I could get her to cry. I may have been the only one that cried. Anyway, we have gotten through the first 3 games. This is really where Auburn's season kind of is defined. This stretch of 4 games that we're going into beginning conference play is absolutely a gauntlet. And you can make the case for the whole SEC, but we're starting off on the road at Texas A&M. They're currently ranked 23. Don't know what to expect with Jimbo, with Petrino over there. I mean, you thought they could get it together last year. They didn't. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first one I truly have as a toss-up. But my gut feeling says I'm not sure Auburn's going to pull this one out. There was a time in which Auburn could not lose at Kyle Field, right? It was Jordan-Hare West. They had it locked down. I don't believe A&M is going to be that good of a team this year, but I think that first true road game in the SEC might cause some trouble. It's a toss-up. I feel really good about it being evenly matched. But in evenly matched games, I tend to pick home field. And so I think A&M's going to get the best of us. That might be the first loss of the 2023 season. Hope not, but I think I'm going to pick us as an L right there.
I think this game has more to do with Texas A&M than it does Auburn, because Auburn's going to be building momentum up to this game, hopefully, if they take care of business. And then Texas A&M, it's going to be determined, did they pull it together? Did they finally get it figured out? If they did, at Kyle Field, that's going to be tough. If they didn't, Auburn could sneak in there and get out with a win. It could go either way. Yep. The big one, well, not the big one, but the second biggest one, back at home, number 1 Georgia, currently ranked number 1 Georgia. Any hope to unseat the national champions this season?
I really wish that I could say I feel good about it being toss-up or a win, but I just don't think this roster is quite there yet. I think it's going to be – I think the Jordan-Hare magic will be there. People will be rocking. It will not be like the past couple Georgia games where it's been a little flat. I think Auburn will be ready. It'll be Carson Beck, the new Georgia quarterback's first true road game in the SEC. Fingers crossed for a night game. But I think that Auburn's probably going to struggle and lose to Georgia, who is an incredibly talented roster. But, hey, as we already talked about recruiting, if Auburn keeps recruiting, they can be on the level of Georgia and compete with Georgia on a consistent basis. So but this year, I think Georgia's going to get them, and Auburn falls at 3-2.
I like that you pointed out that you hope it's a night game. I also hope so. And I hope that Auburn does get the win against Texas A&M, because College game day is coming, I bet. I bet that is the game they come to Auburn.
I can see it.
If that actually, kind of falls the way it should. Let's look at LSU, also a tough team in the SEC. Most people expect them maybe to be the representative from the West. Back in Baton Rouge for the first time since the streak was ended. We do have Brian Harsin to thank for that, so let's not, let's give the credit where credit is due. We have him to thank. Well, yes, and Bo Magician Nix, like just pulling stuff out of his rear end and somehow making magic down there with what he was having to work with. LSU, Baton Rouge. I don't feel like. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. I'm picking Auburn to lose their 3rd straight game here. I think LSU is the sexy pick to win the West. I have them winning the West. I think that they are a team that is built, and Brian Kelly has figured it out down there right now for what to do, even though he doesn't know how to speak with a Southern accent. I think LSU gets back into winning and down in Baton Rouge for a 2nd straight time. So I hate it, and I really wish that we could beat the Corn Dogs, but I think Auburn's going to be 3-3 come October 14th.
It is truly a gauntlet, and I think you could throw this last game into it.
Yes.
Just to be honest, even, though it's at home. And folks, keep in mind, this is the last time Ole Miss will be an SEC West opponent at Auburn, and period, for every single year. So it's a special game too. Ole Miss in town. What do you think about this one? Is this where they turn the losing streak around in your mind?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Kyle, 3-3. There's going to be a lot of unhappy people with winning 3, then losing 3. If this is the way it works out, but I mean, my goodness, with Ole Miss coming in town after all that's happened in the last calendar year, it's going to be nuts.
I can't even think of what you might be talking about. I don't know what's been going on with Ole Miss.
It's not like we pay them any attention at all. I think Jordan Hare Magic wins this one. Auburn is not going to lose to Ole Miss this year. I can't wait for that to be clipped and that be sent everywhere the week of. I've got Auburn winning that game. I think it's going to be absolutely rocking. I liken it back to that 2021 year when Ole Miss came into town. It looked like Auburn was absolutely about to take off with Matt Corral beating Matt Corral and Ole Miss, and Bo Nix having a good game. I'm excited for that one, but I think Auburn gets back to their winning ways against Ole Miss.
All right. Well, we got through the gauntlet. Here's what I'd like to do for these next 4 games, because let's be fair, compared to the last 4, it should be a lot easier. Let me lay out the schedule, and then I want you to talk through it before we get to the big one at the end, and we'll discuss that by itself. But at home versus Mississippi State, at Vanderbilt, if they have a stadium, at Arkansas, and then back home for New Mexico State. So walk me through those 4 games, your mind on what potentially happens with those 4 games.
Yeah. The good news is, Kyle, I've got each of those as a win. I think Auburn is on a win streak after all those. They are moving. I don't see Auburn losing to Mississippi State for the 3rd straight year in a row. I don't see them losing to Mississippi State.
Did you really have to say that?
Look, it speaks of the magnitude, Kyle, of what has happened. I don't think they're going to lose 3 straight State. I don't think they're going to lose 2 straight at home to State. Auburn wins that game. That's also, when you think about State has had a rough year in the last year, that it's going to be a challenging year for them. Maybe not on the field. It could be, but in terms of what all they have to get through this year. At Vanderbilt, I think Auburn wins that game. I don't think Vanderbilt is going to be the worst team in the league this year, but I think Vanderbilt is improved, but just not quite enough. I mean, they don't have an end zone right now. So I'm going to pick Auburn to beat Vanderbilt. They don't have, did you see the scoreboard, Kyle? Did you see the interim scoreboard?
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty bad. Nashville people, I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, and then Auburn goes up to Fayetteville. That is another one I have as a toss-up, but I feel good about Auburn winning that game.
Right.
I just get to the point where I'm like, okay, first-year coaching staff, a lot of new faces on this team. Is there one they're going to drop they shouldn't? And I think that might be one. Arkansas, I don't see them being special or being down in the dumps, but I think they'll be about that middle of the road. On the road, I worry about them, but I think they're going to pull it out. They'll be fine. New Mexico State, my boys are going to go their first game ever. We're going to win that game. So I have 4 straight wins right there through Mississippi State and New Mexico State. I think Auburn is on a 5-game win streak going into the Iron Bowl.
And that's the key right there. That Arkansas game is really maybe a season-defining game in terms of where this thing's going to kind of go, because depending on what your prediction is, you, the listener and viewer, that could be, as an away game, kind of just dictate where you're going to go bowl-wise, the momentum you have going into the Iron Bowl. It's a very important game, and obviously New Mexico State's in between all that, but it's New Mexico State. Finally, it brings us to the Alabama Crimson Tide coming home. I would say home. They're coming home because Daddy's home in Jordan Hare, where they will be having to sit through celebrations of the 10-year anniversary of the Kick Six and all the gloriousness that will be. Tell me, I know there's some excitement around this game always with this special year. What are you thinking?
Yeah, at this point, Kyle, with my predictions, Auburn is 8-3. Alabama, I believe, will be maybe slightly better, maybe about the same. I just don't think this team, they have a lot of questions at that quarterback position. They're loaded everywhere else, per usual. But I think that this team is not going to be the elite Alabama team of few years. in the past. So it's a toss-up. It always is. I don't really care what the records are. It is game on, no matter what happens. I have Auburn winning the Iron Bowl this year. I think Hugh Freeze gets Auburn to win in the Iron Bowl in his first year. Jordan-Hare Stadium will be rocking. I think that might be the game College Game Day comes to town. Ooh. It'll be a crisp November 25th. It'll be perfect. It'll be the best uniform matchup there is in football. I have Auburn finishing the year on a 6-game win streak, 9-3. We're going bowling somewhere in Florida, and we're happy. It's a freeze warning all year long.
You literally just took my last question there and ran with that. This is why I love having you as a co-host, because you know where I'm going with this. All right, so let me say this again. Your final prediction: 9-3 for the bowl game. Is that what it was?
9-3 headed to a bowl game. First 3 wins, second 3 losses, 6 wins in the year. That's where I'm at, Kyle. I think the ceiling's 9-3, the floor 6-6.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I think there are a lot of ways you could go with this year. None of them probably would be wrong because it's just going to be that kind of year. Obviously, I've got more opinions and stuff that I'll be sharing on some other content here on the E2C Network, but we wanted to get Austin on the record 9-3. So in about 3-4 months, when we're done with this thing, you guys can point back and say, wow, Austin,
right.
in a good way or a bad way. So we'll find out soon enough. And plenty of discussion for that coming up here on the next couple episodes. We're going to discuss the big announcement from this weekend. Week, I guess I should say. It was discussed a lot of all the new enhancements, additions. And we're not going to get to all of them, Austin. Let's be honest, because there's like 20 of them, I think this list is.
Yeah.
Things that are coming for Auburn football fans this season to Jordan-Hare and surrounding game day, basically using not just the Hugh Freeze era and a new season in general to get everybody excited, but put new things around in for the fans. All this stuff is just, I was really surprised when they announced this list, how much they actually are doing. I know everybody is screaming right now, well, when are they going to get to the end zone? And they've acknowledged that's coming. It takes a little bit of time, folks. But I guess it's a long list, but let me just put the list out there, and then I want to open it up to you, Austin. Some things that we're going to probably hit: stadium capacity increase, new concession experiences. A lot of those are going to be grab and go, mobile ordering type of situations, stadium Wi-Fi upgraded and expanded, closed captioning for the video boards. West Side Seating Bowl is done with its refurbishment. New play clocks, that's been a big thing in the lower bowl. Team tunnel and field entrance enhanced, new lighting effects, DJ booth in the student section. Special needs assistance station has been introduced. Carrier cooling stations added in the concourse, it sounds like. New touchdown effects. A VIP program introduced. New flagship radio station for the Auburn experience. I guess not our show, but just the radio experience. New athletics app. And then field level premium experiences alongside the now partnership with SeatGeek. 20 additions there. Give me something you want to start off by talking about.
First off, Kyle, I think is the very first thing you mentioned, stadium capacity increase. Not because I'm like, oh, good, we need to add seats. Not because I think that, oh, the premium level seats on the field are amazing. They're okay. Kyle, I have learned that former seating capacity number like it was my home phone number since I was 4 years old. I don't know how in the world I'm going to ever remember this new one. I mean, it has been burned into my brain since I was a little one. And now it's some random group of numbers. 88043. I don't know how I'm going to remember that.
First world problems, right? Listen.
Absolutely.
Here's the cooler thing about that, though. Yeah, it's kind of a technicality thing about how we're increasing the stadium capacity with this new seating, enhanced premium seating, and some probably rearranging of some certain things. But I don't have the exact figures in front of me. Someone did give them to me earlier in the week, but it's been a week, as you can imagine. We now are like just a few hundred, I believe, under Florida's Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and then a few thousand now underneath Sanford Stadium, Georgia's, stadium. So we have inched ever closer to overtaking two of our historically biggest rivals in stadium capacity. That's pretty cool. So, with an enhancement, that's coming.
It is. If I could, Kyle, real quickly, what would be your dream scenario of seats? Because I don't want to be 120,000 deep. But what would be your, like, what's the number you're like, if we get there, I'm good with capping it right there.
So you don't want 120 is what you're saying?
1,000? No, I do not.
I think if we could get about as close to 1,000, maybe a touch over it, just because it's cool to say that you're
over what?
Over 100,000. I'm sorry. To clarify, like, that's just a cool club to be a part of, but I'm fine if we don't get over that mark. Cause I know that I don't know the logistics of adding the end zone, how much that's going to physically add to the stadium. I think they could do some more rigging to move some things around, just as they have with the extra seating experiences that they've thrown out there. So I think 100,000 would be ideal. I think it's obviously that end zone, which changes the game, and maybe even connecting. Be nice. Maybe a little bit of a horseshoe effect. I don't think it'll work exactly that way, but it'd be cool. But yeah, for now,
I just was curious.
Yeah, the new capacity is here to stay for now, and only will be getting bigger and better in the coming years. Let me throw one out here for you that I think is going to be very, very good for Auburn fans these first few games, is these cooling stations that they're saying they're having.
Thank you.
New dedicated cooling tents featuring the Carrier HVAC units added around the Jordan-Hare concourse to service fans if you need a place to cool down. They have done a great job of giving the big old water jugs that you can go fill up, and allowing people to bring in a water bottle, all that stuff. But folks, I don't know if you've heard, it's kind of hot. That's going to be a huge, small thing that I think most fans are going to be lining up, maybe, especially that first game or two, to get in line for.
Look, there's a freeze warning going around, but I mean, it's not going to keep the heat advisory away. So it's a nice thing to have. I hope that we keep it, as sometimes we might need that till late October. So it's an excellent addition. I think many will be, when we look at this list after the season, we'll be like, yeah, we needed that one the most.
If they don't use some type of marketing with freeze for those stations, they've failed.
Come on.
It's got to happen. It has to happen. We could reach a point where we overuse this a little bit, but hey, well, let's milk it for all it's worth right now. What's something else that stuck out to you from these enhancements that you want to talk about?
The most obvious one is what a bunch of people started talking about as soon as it came out. They're putting Ben Brood, the DJ, right in the smack dab middle of the student section. Kyle, I'm gonna go two ways with this. The first way I'm gonna go is, that's super cool. He's always been in this. He's been in the stadium the last several years. Like, if you didn't know that, he's been there manning the music, and I think they had him up higher, whatever. Like, this isn't just we're putting a DJ in the stadium. So it'll be cool. It'll be a really cool atmosphere to be in the student section. It's already an incredible place to be. For it to be there as well, for him to be there as well, will be something really awesome. Now I'm going to go to the crotchety old man segment. The last few years, I've been a little disappointed, and I don't know whose call this is. I don't know. There's been a lot of administrative change, a lot of coaching change. The last few years, we've been playing a lot of music, even sometimes over the Auburn University Marching Band.
Yes.
I have a problem with that.
It's fair.
The band, when they get rolling and when everybody's in tune with them, it's just as good as having Swag Surf blaring. It's just as good as playing All the Above before the fourth quarter. So I want us to make sure that we look. I wasn't a band person. I love marching bands. I think it's a unique part of college football. But I just want to make sure that we're still encouraging the band to be an integral part of Auburn football game day, and that we're not just blaring our speakers as loud as we possibly can, because the Auburn University Marching Band is the best one there is. So I felt like I was tame there. I'm just saying, Ben Brood's going to be a lot closer to the band. So I hope that maybe that encourages them to be like, okay, I'm going to give them their time. I'm going to make sure that we integrate this well together, because I think that's possible.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's not my thing, right? Having the DJ be more prominent and stuff like that. But again, as you've addressed, we're becoming crotchety old men literally by the second. You're watching it happen live if you're watching the show live. I also see the value in having it and how much it's enhanced. Sure. I think there's a fine balance there of honoring what people are really mostly there to see, the band, and we're all there for the football game, but people want to see the band. People want to see Avi. They want to do the cheers with Mike Mann, like all those things have to be center and forefront. But I think it's fine if you find a way to kind of mingle all that together and make it work. Obviously there's a decision for the reason this decision was made. And I have a feeling it's probably for further decisions down the road. I don't know if you kind of catching what I'm going there, just changes and enhancements that may be coming down the line. A couple of things that I'll bring up here that I'm curious about. The new tunnel and field entrance enhancement. It talks a lot about lighting. I'm guessing there's maybe pyrotechnics and stuff that's probably going to be involved in that. Alongside that, enhanced lighting. The lighting was pretty good last year with the light show at night and stuff. Yeah. What can they do better, Austin?
It was pretty good. We're going to have to see and find out. I think we've talked a lot about Rhett Hobart on here. We talked about when he was hired by John Cohen. We talked about the amazing job he did with Plainsman Park during the regional. I think he's behind a lot of these moves, and I think that that's a good thing. I think that you've looked at his past and his former things he's brought to Mississippi State. Those grab-and-go concessions were a big one. That was at Plainsman Park. I think that he is well-versed and what's the word I'm looking for?
Experienced?
There you go. Well-experienced with these kind of moves. So I think this will be good. I like the enhancements. If you saw the quirky, fun video of the players getting the stadium ready for game day, it kind of looked like that was part of it. There might be some signage right there where they run out. So that's already an amazing feeling. Look, we all remember your boy Cadillac running out and saying, "Let's play ball," to the smoke and the pyro. So if it's anything like that, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I know it's going to be great. I'm just more curious and intrigued. Because here's the thing is, even that entrance part, we're not going to get the full effect until a night game. And so that's going to be, at minimum 3 games into the season. So, and it may be, I can't remember when Sanford is. Have they announced when Sanford is?
Yeah, it's like 6:30.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So we're going to get to see that in the third game. And so we'll have to wait a little bit longer to assess all that. So that may be a topic we hit about that, kind of reviewing or assessing what we saw there. Listen, there's plenty of other things that we could talk about. The West Bowl finally finishing in refurbishment, the new app, but we just don't have the time to get into all those things. What I like and what I see here is an investment in not just the future, but now into building this Auburn experience inside Jordan-Hare Stadium into being one of a kind, better than it already could be, because even Penn State fans told you last year, this place is incredible. It is.
As they're beating our brains out, by 30. So,
had to go there.
If you can recognize it special even during that, then I commend you. So I think you're right. And we touched on it briefly this week. Athletic Director John Cohen was asked, what else are we doing? Are we finally, adding seats, upgrading? And he said, look, it's no secret, the end zone with the old scoreboard. All right. We know that's an issue. We're looking into it. So there's a forward-thinking mindset with this staff and administration that you have to be really excited about. So this is just the beginning, I think.
It may be an old scoreboard, but it's not as bad as that Vanderbilt scoreboard. So there's always that. Plenty to look forward to this season in just games, but of course in the new enhancements and stuff that we're excited to experience for the very first time this season in Jordan-Hare. That's going to do it for this show tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 49. As always, we enjoy being with you, whether you're watching live or listening or watching on the replay. If you want to find me, you can do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24 and follow E2C Network anywhere and everywhere. Where can they find you, Austin?
I'll never get over how dumb that sounds. Austin G. Scott is where you can find me on X and Instagram, whatever else. So, looking forward to chopping it up. Hey, Auburn Twitter is about to be Auburn X is about to be back in full effect with the game day. So I can't wait. It's here, everybody. We made it.
We made it, and let me get out of here before he goes full crotchety old man to end this show. Episode 49 in the books. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.